Hello, Chloe. I'm
Hello.
Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
My name is Shahbaz. How are you?
Shahbaz. I'm good. I'm good. Finally, we have like our first warm day here
Oh my
in
God, I
Hamilton,
know.
Ontario. So it's nice.
Oh,
Yes, yeah, we're
Yeah.
in the GTA ourselves as well, so it's like
Oh,
beautiful
nice.
today. It is beautiful today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
I was
take it.
basking in it. I was like, ugh, I don't want to go inside, but I got to.
yeah.
Chloe, how's your day going so far, other than the beautiful weather that we are having though?
So good. I went for a run and felt really good about that. And then I had like a eyelash appointment. I was like
Oh,
so excited about. And then I
so
got
did
there and
we.
they're like, of course, as one does. And then I got there, they're like, you didn't book an appointment with us. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh,
I booked it for like the following year
Oh,
oh.
somehow. I was like, good, okay, it's fine. That's how this day is. We are clearly in an alternate dimension. It's fine. I'm
Yeah.
here for it.
but you're set for next year though, which is great. You don't have to worry.
Exactly. I am set for April. What day is it? April 11th, 2024.
Do
The
do
Lash
people normally
movie.
book that far out? Is that a thing? Like, how far out do
I
you typically book?
apparently 1 year if your name's Chloe. Is
Oh,
how
that's
we're
good to know.
functioning today.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Chloe,
Yeah.
thank you again for sharing your time with us today. We know that you've been you're part of a lot, you're doing a lot, you have a lot coming up, and I just want to we had to first talk about your short film title, which moved both of us so much while watching it. And
Oh, wow.
Physically
Thank
as well.
you.
yeah, we wanted to
Yeah.
move
Yeah.
physically after your
Yeah.
incredible choreography in that. But I just got to ask, like,
Thank you.
going from actually being on the front lines, especially during COVID,
Hmm.
working as a nurse,
Hmm.
and then to going into making a film that really encapsulates a lot of the internal feelings that you felt while working as a nurse. Where was your
Hmm.
mind space while making the short film?
So it's interesting. I yeah, was pretty in the barracks of it all. Like redeployed to emerge. Haven't worked there in a really long time, but the unit that I usually work on got shut down to just free up beds, free up staff. So they sent me back down to emerge, which yeah, it was like an existential experience basically. And deeply depressed, just like everybody else during the pandemic. Nothing new there. And then I got the audition for From and literally laughed. And I was like, I don't think there's no way. Like series regular, American show, series regular, shooting Canada. I've done this dance before. They're not going to hire me. They're not going to hire Canadian actors. And then they did. They hired mostly Canadian actors, and it was incredible. So I got plucked out from one hellhole into basically Disneyland of like a film set, but the show itself is a hellhole. So it was a really interesting experience. And it was amazing to be able to, yeah, essentially get chosen to do that. But I brought my nursing scrubs with me because I was like, I think I'm going to make something while I'm here. I don't know yet. There turned out to be a lot of downtime while shooting season one of From because there's just such a big ensemble cast. There's a lot of storylines going on. So you'd shoot for like 2 weeks straight and then you'd have almost a month off. So that lent itself to creating something, I think. And I think when I was nursing, I made these weird little dance videos when I'd come home from shift as a way to just, I don't know, figure out what the hell was going on. I didn't have a lot of words. My girlfriend at the time, I didn't know how to communicate with her either. I was just simply like, I had evaporated, but movement and dance had always been such a safe space for me. And I started to revisit those parts of who I was while nursing. So it kind of started that way. The idea got planted in my head, and then fast forward to shooting From, and a very good friend of mine had an amazing camera. He was like, "Let's just make something. You clearly this story lives in you. You've been talking about it. You've been fleshing it out. You're a mover. Let's just go." So that's how we made it. I got a really good friend of mine, Neve Wilson, who's an incredible actor and also a dancer, to co-direct with me. And we just basically followed our instincts, all three of us. It was a skeleton crew, me, Charlie on the camera, Neve co-directing, and then one of my co-stars, Avery Conrad, learned how to focus pull, who's on From,
Nice.
and she was amazing. And we just rolled with it. I like went on Instagram and I was like, "Does anyone in Halifax own a convenience store?" And like, sure enough, like someone lent us a convenience store for a couple hours for
Wow.
that one shot. And it was just it was the first time I've ever made anything that was mine, and it was a really joyful way to navigate and externalize and make sense of a lot of trauma
Right.
So yeah, it was pure joy to be able to do that and to shape all of that energy into something that I could put out into the world and to share. So if that answers your question.
No, it does. It really does.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but no, but that answers
Yeah.
everything. It really does.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
performance in it is it feels so true to life. Like when Dan and I were watching it, we were just like, we're not seeing an actor there. We're seeing somebody that is literally putting their whole heart and soul into this. And it, like we said, it moved us completely. And it was your dancing, because it felt at moments chaotic, but at the same time, it felt like you're still trying to tell a message. You were trying to get your frustration, your aggression out. And that was really, really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there's such power in nonverbal communication and in movement, and there's something so universal about it. You don't necessarily have to be speaking the same language to understand someone's movement or someone's impulses and to be moved by it. So, yeah, it got me thinking about how to make films that way moving forward, just with very little dialogue, because I think it's quite compelling and universal, in what is not said.
Yeah, and that's the
So yeah.
beautiful part about it, because anyone can watch this. Like there is no language barrier. Anyone can kind of watch this and evoke some sort of emotion. I think that is the toughest thing that people have nowadays. Like your medium that you just created, you can put it on in a different country and someone will still get something out of it.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's gone on a little festival journey, and what's been great is like I haven't had to put subtitles or anything. It's just it just
Maybe you should.
takes
It'd
the
be fun.
workload off of me.
It'd be fun to have subtitles under your
Scripted video
dancing.
Yeah.
under my dancing, yeah, just in case people it's not reading for people. Yeah, just a description of what's going on in front of them for sure.
And when it comes to the choreography of it, like how much time did you guys spend on like actually creating it in that moment, or was it just like this is something that I've
Ooh.
been doing?
It's so funny because anything that we choreographed got cut.
Oh,
So
Really?
it was all on the day. Yeah. Yeah. That which was really interesting too. Like Neve and I spent some time in a studio. There's a whole graveyard sequence that we completely removed. That was choreographed and specific. I was very inspired by Tom York's Anima visual album. I don't know if you've
mhm.
seen it. Just the movements are so pedestrian and interesting and accessible in a way. Like you don't have to be a dancer to understand what those movements are. And I was inspired by that. And then we cut it because I was like, it doesn't have a place. This is an instincts film. This film has been based on instincts. It's been written on instincts. I think it's just, this lives in us. Let's just roll. And then I got an incredible editor to help us quilt it together.
Absolutely.
No, but
Yeah.
it does. It looks beautiful though, because I think there's such a fluidity to it, and I think if there was
Thank
something
you.
more, I guess, lack of better words, like thought out to it in terms of just
Mhm.
not rolling with like I think like the inner emotion, I think it would have maybe given off a different message, right? Where this feels very
There's
cathartic,
authenticity to it.
right? It
Yeah.
feels just very in the moment, which I think you guys convey so
Yeah.
beautifully throughout it.
Yeah. Very
Thank
genuine.
you. And it's messy and it is what it is. It's been interesting to watch it like on a big screen at festivals and just sit there and be like, oh, there's so many things I would do differently
Oh, of
now
course,
that I've
it's never
learned.
done.
But
Art's
no,
never
and
done.
it's never done, but it's a timestamp of like who I was at that time, the things I was trying to convey, and it's a journey.
It
Mhm.
really is.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
given thought to something that you'd want to work on next? I know you're busy with From, but also what about what comes next for you? Is there another story or maybe something going on at the back of your mind of your next short film or your next
Yeah,
maybe
there's
full length film?
totally. I definitely caught the filmmaking bug by making this, I think. Um, I think a lot of times we get in our own way thinking it's not possible, thinking that we need like huge crews and all this stuff and all this money. And I think you just need some talented folks who and a really good idea and some faith, and you just roll with it.
Mhm.
Which is leads me to the next little film I made with one of my castmates, Scott McCord, who plays Victor on From. He came to me at the beginning of shooting season 2 after watching Tidal, and just he really appreciated the process of just like letting go and letting the story reveal itself to you versus deciding what it is yet. And he had some things that he wanted to explore and work on. So we shot an entire improvised film about a a father meeting his biological child for the first time after
Wow.
21 years of estrangement. It's just something he wanted to, a character that he wanted to explore. So we shot them both in their own spaces. The other actor I hired was actually Neve. Wilson, my co-director from Tidal, and just kind of got to know them and the things that they wanted to explore, and we just documented all of it. We kind of took, basically like a documentary approach, and it was just so cool to see how these two people and actors who have never met in their entire life had like overlapping like idiosyncrasies and like tics and stuff like that. And I was just like, man, if I had written this, like I wouldn't have never been able to write this. It's just telling me what it is right now. And then we shot their meeting on 2 cameras, so it was all happening live. And even though they're both brilliant actors, I could be like, reset, let's go. That wasn't the point of it. I just wanted it to be super organic. And that's the only time that there's any dialogue in the film is their meeting. And the rest, it's again, similar approach to Tidal of just like really focusing on like the little slices of life and the nuance that makes someone who they are without speaking, and kind of where your loneliness sits and all of that. So it's just so interesting and like gratifying to watch that get unraveled without writing anything down, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're working on right now.
I love that.
Yeah. And then I was recently, my family's from my father's from Belgium. So I recently took a trip there. I've been a few times, but when I was younger, and there's something about, I'm turning 30 on Friday, and there's something about 30 and all that hubba jubba. Things just start to sit differently. And
yeah, of course. I just turned 30 last week, so I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really had any like qualms about it. Like I feel pretty good, but there's just something a little more like existential or energy that comes in that you start to feel. And I don't know, I was just walking in the village that my family's from, and I just got super curious about where they came from in a very deep way that I haven't before. And just started asking questions to my family there. And I found out, I knew that my father and my grandfather, my grandfather and my great-grandfather, they were carpenters of the village. But I didn't know that when you are the village carpenter, you're also in charge of building the village coffins when someone dies.
Oh, wow.
There's no funeral homes that exist in those small villages. So you are in charge. And they are literally like made to measure. Like my grandfather, my great-grandfather would go in to the home of the deceased and like measure the body and then go make the coffin. And my great-grandmother would hop on the train and get the special hardware that you needed. And the coffins at the time are like the ones from like Dracula. Like they're not like the ornate ones now. They're like they have that like diamond shape so the shoulders would fit. And anyway, so there's just like so many interesting stories that came out of that, and I'm just like, this is the most cinematic thing ever to just try to watch these two people navigate how to put these enter these not strangers because it's village life, everybody knows each other, but like be in charge of this wild moment and at the end of life, and a really pivotal moment for a lot of families. And there's just like endless story there. So that's living rent free in my brain right now in terms of wanting to create something out of 1950s village life in Belgium, being the village carpenter. So
I love that. But those are the most, I think, unique stories, right? The most interesting ones are the ones that
are personal.
Yeah, they're personal, and you stumble upon them and you're like, how is this not been told already, right? How is this not a story that is well known already?
And I think that's what I think sometimes as like creators or artists we get in our head thinking we have to be so creative and innovative, but I'm like, no, the best, like you just said, the best stuff lives in you or where you came from. And it's just about getting curious about what that is and what that means for you and how you want to tell those stories. I think it's such an honor to be like a third or fourth generation in the family and have the capacity to share those stories because they deserve to be told.
How have you been finding the festival route for Tidal so far?
It's been super, interesting and fun. Again, my first kind of run at a festival, and the process, because I also produced Tidal as well. Like I was also in charge of the submissions and all that stuff, and it's a whole game. Like And I couldn't believe how expensive too it is to
Yeah.
submit a film. I'm like, it's 9 minutes. Why is this costing $90? This is great. Times that by like 50, you're like, yeah, there goes
Yeah.
from my phone salary. No, but it's been really special to be able to kind of take it around and watch it with an audience, bunch of strangers too. I was just in Manchester with it. Got to spend a week there and met some like really great UK filmmakers, and it was the first time I was seeing it by myself without anyone from my team, so that was super vulnerable.
Yeah.
And usually like a quite extroverted, outgoing human. I like to connect with people, and I just found myself reverting to like some like Chloe from like high school who like didn't quite know her place in this world. Because yeah, it's a super personal story. I'm also in it. So there's nothing that you can't hide or run. You
Right.
gotta face it. So that was an interesting thing that kind of came up for me, taking it around. And but yeah, overall super rewarding for sure.
That's amazing.
And humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
watching with the
Yeah.
crowd must be just like unreal. Like, and especially when you're going to all these different places, almost everywhere, you're probably getting a different reaction too.
Yeah, and I mean, there's I find the festivals where I get to spend a little more time at getting to know the people who are there. I find the short resonates a lot stronger with them because they know the story behind it. They know that I'm an actual nurse, like I lived this life. Or else you wouldn't quite know that. It's not really written anywhere in the film. So I find that when people understand the context behind it, it lands a little harder.
Now I know you guys have you're working on something that's launching, or you're maybe in the works right now with Collective Hearts. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more what that's entailing, what that's going to look like for you, and why it means so much to you?
Yeah, of course. So when I started my nursing career in 2016, my preceptor in Emerge, her name was Rena. She's an incredible nurse, and she's also a visual artist. And her and I would just always talk and riff about arts and creating, and how like art is such a safe space for getting all your shit out and figuring out where that lands and where it sits and all that stuff. And anyway, I left Emerge for quite a bit, but we always stayed in touch. And then, yeah, obviously the pandemic hit, and I came home from season one and really wanted to stay connected to who I was as a nurse, but didn't quite know how. Like, I went back to the hospital for a bit. That was a total disaster. Like, it's a totally different type of stamina that you need to work there, and I just didn't have it anymore at all. So I was like, okay, that's a terrible idea, but how do I stay grounded to these parts of who I am? And Rita and I reconnected, and we came up with this idea called Collective Hearts, which is providing space for healthcare workers who are also artists.
Wow.
So last year we put a big call out to all the hospitals in the GTA looking for healthcare workers who also have some sort of art that they want to share, whether it's visual or movement based or film or music, whatever you want. We'll make space for it. And like the response was overwhelming. And me and Rena looked at each other. We're like, well, we're not unique. There's clearly a lot of other people who are artists. Everyone's an artist. So it was amazing. So we held this event last year at the Great Hall in Toronto, and we had like over 45 healthcare workers who were also artists. And it was just a night full of joy, especially coming out of the pandemic. To see that level of joy on healthcare workers' face for like the first time was amazing. Yeah. The reception was incredible, and they were just so happy to feel seen and to feel heard because they haven't been. So to be able to facilitate a space where people can come and share their art and inspire others was amazing. So we decided to throw another one this coming May 25th at the Drake Hotel. We have about 30 or 40 artists again who specialize in a variety of different things, and it's going to be a super exciting night.
Yeah, that's amazing because you think so I've had so many friends who go into the health field who I would either be in bands with in high school or in different like projects and stuff that are artists, and sometimes, as you know, like you'll have to choose when you go to school or when you're in the healthcare field, that it's like science or art, you have to kind of go down choose your path, right? And I love that you guys are creating a space for because that just never goes away, right? That part of you always stays within you, so it's nice to be able to nurture that and still bring it to life and bring that joy and bring that expression to their lives as well, right?
And I think healthcare workers have such a unique perspective on what it means to be a human being as well. And I think so much of art is reflected in your own experiences. So I think nurturing and supporting healthcare workers who have something to share is so important, maybe now more than ever, because our government is doing a pretty unfortunate job at it. But art has such a capacity to heal and to generate important conversations, and by providing a platform for healthcare workers to feel seen and to feel safe sharing their art, I think is pretty integral to healing what the damage that has been done to the profession.
Now, before we wrap up, we wanted to see how, unless you're sworn to secrecy, how much can you tell us about season 2 of From?
Oh God, depends on when you're airing this episode.
It's live right now. Actually.
No. This will air with the first episode, which is going to be on the 23rd.
Yes,
I believe. Yeah. So whatever you could tell us from that, I guess, maybe what to expect, what to look for.
Yeah, this season's psychotic. It's got such a pace to it that is wild. I think season 1 really anchored us in the world of From Town and the day-to-day survival of these individuals in the town, and season 2 just like ramps it up. You really get to know a lot of the series regulars in a way that you weren't able to in season 1. And everybody's really, really very much pushed to their limits. And just when you think they're at their max, something else comes in, and it's just wild to watch all these characters navigate this insane world that they're in. So yeah, I'm excited. It's interesting. I'm like, I kind of black out when I shoot, so I become very focused on my storylines. So there's so many other storylines that I don't really know a lot about, and I can't wait to see how it all gets put together. And also whatever I did, I don't know. You're gonna be just as surprised as I am. So.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Christy's definitely she's in the throes of it this season, that's for sure. If anyone caught what happened in the trailer, you can best believe it's true.
Oh boy. Okay.
Okay. Well,
we're excited to see where things go. And Chloe, I just want to say thank you so much again for your time. We cannot wait to see what you get to work on next. And we really hope we get to talk to you again, because this was really lovely. You're such a lovely person to talk to.
This is super lovely. Yeah, let's circle back at the end of the season.
What we'll do is we'll book the eyelash appointment with you next year.
There we
go. We'll meet there.
You know what? You're absolutely on to something. Yeah. You can take our call. We can take our call from the eyelash.
Let's move this to the eyelash clinic. Yes.
People do eat hot wings during interviews. We'll do eyelashes. 100%.
I think we've just discovered the #1 new podcast in Canada.
Yeah, I love it.
Amazing. Well, thank you both so much. This was really nice.
Thank you. Chloe.
Yeah. We'll see you later.